When teaching somebody a new skill, it can be frustrating and challenging, but when you get it right, it can be rewarding. In this video, we're going to walk you through 5 steps that will let you set yourself up for a higher probability of success when transferring skills. Stay tuned. As a leader, it's important that every single day we focus on continuously improving the performance of our people, because our people are ultimately what drives our outcomes. So really, when you look at improving your people, it comes down to 2 things. Number 1 is knowledge transfer. The other half of that is skills transfer. Knowledge transfer is a little bit easier and more straightforward. It's about giving your people the knowledge that they need, make sure they retain it, and they have what they need to be successful in the role that they're in. Skills transfer can be a little bit trickier. We have found over the years, working with thousands of leaders, that it really comes down to a 5-step process that allows us to set ourselves up for the highest probability of success. It really comes down to these 5 steps when we're transferring skills. Explain, demonstrate, practice with coaching, observe, and feedback. Let me walk you through each one so you have a better understanding. The first step is explain. Remember, when transferring a skill, it's about helping people really understand what they're about to learn, why they're going to learn it, what's in it for them, and the importance of learning this skill, and how you're actually going to teach them the skill, because it really becomes a process. So the explain step, when we're explaining it, remember what we're about to learn, why we're going to learn it, and how we're actually going to give them the steps to be successful with that skill and set them up for a higher probability of success in the future. The second step of this process is demonstrating. You probably have mastered this skill, and one of the biggest frustrations that we find in leaders is that when they know how to do something, they sometimes automatically believe that people should just get it. They should just understand it. And so a lot of leaders skip this step and they actually go right into telling them what they should do. A demonstration has been proven over the years with research is highly much more effective because there's a higher level of retaining, a higher level of understanding, a higher level of clarity, and it actually allows your people to really see what you want them to do in the future, which allows them to better success. Step 3 is practice with coaching. Now, this is a step that takes time and patience, candidly, because ultimately you have to allow them to practice. A lot of times leaders miss this step and they put them right into a game time situation. This can be frustrating to you and also frustrating to your team member. Give them time on the sidelines, if you will, to practice. And as they practice, provide feedback, provide coaching, stop them, maybe do another demonstration. This takes you have to take the time needed to help them be successful. Some of your team members might get it just like that. Other your team members might need a little bit more time, a little bit more practice, some more demonstrations. So in step 3, when it comes to practice with coaching, don't leave this step until you feel confident, and more importantly, they feel confident they can actually implement it and execute it at a high level during the game. Step 4 is observe. Step 4 is now where you're going to have a chance to actually put them into the game. When I say put them in the game, it means put them into the role. It might be a sales call, it might be a customer service role, it might be whatever profession they're in, but you're actually now going to give them a chance to demonstrate that skill in real time while you observe. It's important that you observe them in real time because there's just a different dynamic between practicing on the sideline and when they're actually doing the job in real time in the game, so to speak. And so when you're doing that and you're observing it, you're allowing yourself a couple things there. 1, you're allowing to see them how they actually will perform it in real time. 2, you're allowing to do some course corrections that will allow you to provide feedback in step 5, which we'll get into in just a minute. And it also allows your team member to build a higher level of confidence. They might not get it right that first time, but remember, if you give them the proper practice with coaching and then the observe step, you're setting them up for success. And the last step of this process, step 5, is providing them feedback. right? There are really two types of feedback that we're going to attempt to approach in a situation like this. Number one is we're going to give them appreciative feedback. We're going to talk about the things that they did right. We're going to give them and set them up for a higher level of confidence by ensuring we ingrain the things that we want them to do and ultimately continue to do to become part of their DNA when they're actually performing that skill. The other one is going to be corrective. We always want to make sure that we're looking at ways that we can improve. What are some areas of opportunity when they do it the next time that they can shift or change, little things that make the biggest difference that allow them to be even more successful in that particular setting when they're developing or demonstrating that skill. Also with feedback, remember, it might make sense to go back to steps 1, 2, and 3 again. If you have a team member that's really getting it and you feel like that they're good and they can do it on their own, it's time to let them set sail. If you feel like they need a little bit more time, remember, never underestimate the power of going back to explaining, demonstrating, and allowing them to practice with coaching. Those first 3 steps, doing those over and over, will allow your team members to build the skills that they need to be successful and to drive the outcomes and results needed to move you guys in the right direction. Let me give you a quick example to wrap this thing up. So recently we were working with a client here at Renzo, and one of the things that we were helping them with is the art of facilitation. A lot of times leaders go into what we call a push mode when it comes to facilitating meetings and/or huddles. And all we did was simply implement a skill technique called the pull method or the pull mode. And so what we mean by that is how do we create a shared experience with their team or a shared experience with their group that allows them to feel like they're part of it and really feel like they have ownership in the things that the leader is talking about on a consistent basis in meetings and huddles. So the first thing that we did is we simply explained what the pull method is. And what do we mean by the pull method? We talked about what it is, why it's important, and then we outlined how we're going to help them learn and build that skill set so they had that arrow in their quiver to pull out at the right time to be even more effective with meetings and huddles. The next thing that we did is I actually demonstrated and ran a meeting with their team, a quick 15-minute meeting with their team that was actually demonstrating the pull method where they could allow it to see it in real time and see how it plays out, where they could understand the benefits of involving their team. They could understand the benefits of me asking the right questions and getting the team to be involved in the answers that allowed them to gain more ownership and feel just much more complete about that particular meeting. Then what we did, literally right after that meeting, is we spent 1 hour in her office practicing the pull technique, practicing the pull method, and allowing her to go over and over and over, where again, I felt confident that she could do it in her next meeting, and she felt confident. So then 2 days later, I came back into the organization. She was doing a 15-minute huddle. She was doing a meeting. I was in the back observing, right? She had some great success because we put in the time on the sideline during that 1 hour of practice where she really built some confidence. So she had a chance to actually change and shift the dynamics of her meeting that allowed her team members to see much more value in the time they spent with her during that process. Afterwards, we talked about it, we provided some feedback. She was able to do a lot of things well, maybe tweak a few things that allowed her to be even more successful. Now, fast forward a couple months, right? She's incorporating both a push and a pull method in her meetings that's allowing her to be way more successful, feel way more value in these meetings, and her teams are getting so much more out of it. So again, this 5-step process to transfer skills can set you up for a higher probability of success, minimize frustrations, and give your team members what they need to be successful. Explain, demonstrate, practice with coaching, observe, and provide feedback. Hey, listen, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel to never miss these leadership nuggets that can set you up for success in the future. See you next time.